You might ask, what happens next? This leads into the beginning of the second part, where Cervantes writes that a scholar named Samson Carrasco arrives, informing Don Quixote and Sancho that their adventures have been written into a book titled The Ingenious Gentleman Don Quixote of La Mancha, which has become a bestseller. Don Quixote joyfully asks, "In this biography, which of my deeds stands out the most?" Samson replies, "Opinions vary. Some say it's the great windmill battle, others say it's the liberation of the prisoners." Sancho is also pleased and asks, "How am I portrayed in the book?" Samson tells them, "You are the second most important character in the book. Some adore your wit more than the smartest men, while others say you're too stubborn. Your master promises you will become governor of an island, and you believed it." Sancho then says, "I bet those critics are like dogs that treat baskets and cabbages the same." This is a Spanish proverb meaning those who criticize him lack discernment. Then Don Quixote said, "Now I see, the person writing my biography isn't a scholar, but probably just some clueless storyteller." He went on to add, "But that's no surprise. Many theologians can't preach well themselves, but are quick to criticize others' sermons." That's Cervantes poking fun at how others judge him. Let's get back to the story. Restless as ever, Don Quixote sets off on his third adventure. As for Sancho, despite the hardships last time, he did bag himself 100 gold coins. So this time around, he thought about it and decided to stick with his master and brave another adventure. Their first stop was Toboso. Don Quixote was off to visit his beloved, saying, "Let's go to Toboso, where I can receive the blessings and admiration of the incomparable beauty Dulcinea. The favor of one's beloved can ignite the courage of a knight-errant like nothing else." Sancho, always ready with a witty retort, replied, "I believe that too, but where exactly are you planning to talk to her or meet her? Last time I delivered a message, I only saw her from over the backyard's low wall." Don Quixote retorted, "Sancho, why do you keep insisting you saw this incomparable beauty over the backyard's low wall? That can't be right. It must have been through grand palace corridors, galleries, porches, or something similar. Anyway, as long as I can see my beloved Dulcinea, her radiance will illuminate my heart and spirit, making me peerless in wit and bravery." Sancho quipped back, "Honestly, sir, when I saw Miss Dulcinea, she wasn't glowing or anything. She was just sifting barley, and the dust cloud covered her face like mist." It was quite comical. But Don Quixote paid no heed. He refused to listen. Refuse. Anything that hasn't happened in his mind isn't reality. He is convinced some jealous magician conjured this trick to deceive Sancho. In his mind, his beloved Dulcinea is a noble lady living in a palace, waiting for him. In reality, Sancho had no idea where Dulcinea lived. Last time, he never actually delivered the letter, but he couldn't admit that. So, he found a village and told Don Quixote to wait outside while he went to deliver the message. Where did he go to deliver the message? At this point, Sancho's cunning side began to show. He thought to himself, "Based on my master's behavior, he's someone who should be tied up like a madman. We're cut from the same cloth, as they say. Besides, people do not care where you were born. Instead, they only care about where you eat. If these sayings were true, then I'd be even more brainless than he is, since I follow him and serve him. Since he's a madman, if I run into a country girl, I'll just fool him into thinking she's Miss Dulcinea. He'd probably believe it easily. If he says Dulcinea isn't like that, he might still think it's a wizard messing with him, changing the way his sweetheart looks." You see, as Sancho gets to know Don Quixote better, he starts to tease his master. It just so happened that Sancho ran into 3 country women leaving Toboso. He hurried back to find Don Quixote and said, "Dulcinea is here with 2 maids to see you." Then he exaggerated their appearance, describing these 3 women as dressed in gold and silver. Don Quixote was now clear-headed and saw 3 country women approaching on donkeys, hardly looking noble. But Sancho insisted they were heavenly maidens on horseback. He rushed forward, grabbed a donkey and knelt down shouting, "Oh, beautiful Queen, Princess, Duchess, please grace us with your presence to meet your captive knight. He's a mess in front of your grace. His pulse has stopped and turned to marble. This is the knight Don Quixote, also known as the mournful knight." Seeing Sancho's earnestness, Don Quixote knelt beside him, uncertain and speechless. He even caught a whiff of garlic from the peasant girl. Interrupted by the two men, the girl got annoyed and cursed them for lunatics before whipping her donkey, causing it to jump and knock her down. Don Quixote rushed to her aid as she scrambled up, took a few steps back, then with a sprint and a vault, mounted her donkey like an agile eagle. The three women rode off on their donkeys, leaving Don Quixote bewildered, unsure of what just happened. Sancho quickly cursed the damn magicians, saying, "Damn these magicians! They turned Dulcinea's myriad charms into a monstrous visage." Don Quixote pondered and found it reasonable. Thus, Sancho bluffed his way through, teasing his master in the process. Did you notice in part 2 of Don Quixote, Sancho's role noticeably increased? Cervantes penned many dialogues between Sancho and Don Quixote in this part. For instance, Don Quixote said, "Life's stage is like this. Some play emperors, others popes. Every role is there. After a lifetime, when death strips away the roles, we're all the same in our graves." Sancho replied, "That's a good metaphor. It's like chess pieces. Each has its use when playing the game. However, after the game, they all mix together in one pocket, just like people buried in graves." Don Quixote praised, "Sancho, your cleverness and wisdom grow day by day." Sancho replied, "Yes, because I'm learning from you. My dull mind is like barren land. Your words are the fertilizer. Serving you, conversing with you, is tilling that land. I hope to reap what I sow, a bountiful harvest." I couldn't help but chuckle as I read this, reflecting on how sometimes in life we can't resist the urge to preach or lecture others. Yet often, it's laughable and off-putting. Maybe we should try Sancho's way. Let the bullets fly for a while to wait and see. For many times, debates over right and wrong are futile. A joke or self-deprecation might turn over a new leaf, making everything easier. Of course, it's not a solution, but how many real unsolvable problems are there? Just like the issues Don Quixote values, the rules he adheres to, how many truly exist? Let's continue with the story. As mentioned earlier, Sancho indeed became governor of an island. How did this happen? In the second part, Cervantes tells a true tale. Fake sequels of Don Quixote appeared on the market. This also angered Don Quixote himself. He was originally planning to go to Saragossa for the annual tournament, but that fake book also included a story about him having such an adventure. To prove that this book was just a load of nonsense, Don Quixote decided to change his plans. Instead of going to Saragossa, he would go to Barcelona for the tournament. On this route, Don Quixote encountered a duke and his wife. Having read the first part of Don Quixote, they recognized him and knew of his eccentric antics. For their own amusement, the Duke and Duchess decided to play along with Don Quixote, treating him as a respected knight according to the conventions of knightly novels. They arranged numerous absurd games, including appointing Sancho as governor of an island. Of course, the island was not a real island, but a small town within the Duke's domain, albeit with 1,000 inhabitants. The town officials, under the Duke's orders, also played along with this charade. Their main goal, however, was to poke fun at Sancho. They announced that a new governor of the island had taken office, and according to tradition, he must immediately handle a case to demonstrate his outstanding intellect to the people. How did Don Quixote perform? His sharpness in judging cases contrasted starkly with his usual silly and naive demeanor. Let's recount a passage from the book. Two old men appeared before the court, one of them leaning on a cane. The one without a cane accused the other of borrowing 10 gold coins and not returning them, claiming he had already repaid the debt. Now, in front of Sancho, if the accused swore that he had indeed repaid the money, the matter would be settled. The man with the cane agreed to swear an oath. He placed his hand on the cross of the cane and declared that he had indeed borrowed 10 gold coins from the plaintiff, and personally returned them. Sancho then asked the creditor, "Do you have anything else to say now?" The creditor replied that since the debtor had sworn an oath, he must have forgotten, so let's forget about it.